Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review. Happy New Year. This is episode 29 and we have a very special guest this week, Steve Evans from Hasbro. So stay tuned.
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review. My name is Jacob, aka Jacob's Toys, and of course, I'm joined by the wonderful one and only Super Sorrel, or Boba Fett, as you can see, and of course, Ryan Speaks Geek in his nice new Star Wars helmet. Go on, Ryan. Do you want?
Sounds normal. It never sounds normal.
It doesn't. Thank you very much for tuning in. It is obviously the first episode of the new year, so happy new year to all of our listeners and viewers. If you are watching on YouTube, then as always, please do like, share, subscribe, and check the details below for the gents details, and give them a follow if you don't already. And if you are one of the listeners on the podcast, hello and happy new year. Please continue to download, share, and all those things. All support to the show is very much appreciated. And what a way to start the new year. So towards the end of the show, we have got a very special guest. As I said in the intro, we've got Steve Evans from Hasbro. You may recognize him from the 1027 show, the Pulse exclusive show that went out shortly after Hasbro PulseCon 2021. But he joined us on the Geek Week. And we have a really cool chat, actually, just to give the viewers a bit of a heads up of what we go into detail about. We have a really in-depth chat about the new, well, I say new, they're kind of a year old now, but the kind of year-strong Marvel 3 3/4 inch, the Kenner-styled Marvel Legends. He gives us some really cool insights on there. I don't want to give too much away, but that section is definitely a lot of fun. And then we also
vindication for Ryan as well.
There's a little bit of vindication. See, we're starting the new year off as we mean to go on. We've given Ryan a hard time about his 3 3/4 inch, and we brought in a special guest who's all about the 3 3/4 inch. And then also with Steve, we go into a bit of detail in regards to kind of the MCU and the figures that they produce for the MCU. That are based on concept art. So when we get kind of a figure released and it doesn't quite match up to how the character looks in the film, and then obviously we get a re-release a little bit later, Steve kind of goes into detail about the kind of process that goes on there and why some things do look different and don't look different. And actually came up with quite a few surprising things, a few things I didn't think that somebody in his position at Hasbro would kind of not know about the figures and the characters. So it's a really good chat. So we're gonna swap over to that a little bit later, but before we do, we obviously have lots to talk about because it's been the Christmas period, and where some of the franchises and the properties have been quite quiet, some of them have been quite noisy. So we obviously have to kick it off, as Super Sorrel pointed out to us with his headgear of choice. We had the first.
You danced
episode
around how to describe that so beautifully. Then that was.
Well, I was just going to
every
say
innuendo, every joke. That was beautifully done, man.
Or I could have just said, as Super Sorrel pointed out with his big green helmet. It's yes. So we obviously
family show.
We had episode 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. That came out on the 29th of December. Gents, I mean, I've just talked through the intro, so start it off.
I was
Give me your
so
thoughts.
disappointed it wasn't just Boba Fett reading a book. That's really what I thought it was going to be.
Boba Fett in the library.
It didn't do what it said on the tin.
I was very surprised at the reaction online about it. So many people saying they didn't find it like exciting or anything, and I was like, really? Were we watching the same thing? Maybe maybe I'm biased. It's Boba Fett. I'm a fanboy, but I loved it.
I'm gonna be really honest. I usually am. I sat down. I watched it on my own to start with because like both of my sons are big Star Wars fans. Even though they're only kind of 3 and 9, they love the Star Wars. So I sat down and watched it on my own because I'm that kind of person. But I just wanted to take it in first. And when I first watched it, I was kind of like, oh, like I enjoyed it. It was like a roller coaster, and like I got off at the end and was like, oh, that happened. That was cool. But I think that I was looking at it through the eyes of the Mandalorian too much in regards to, oh, okay, we're doing this, and he's gonna team up with an unlikely person, and he's gonna do this, and we're gonna see something new, and But then just before we go into the details of it, I then rewatched it with my sons 3 or 4 times, and I loved it. Absolutely loved every inch of it because it was just so perfect for the first episode, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the thing that I had to remind my dad, because my dad's, it's been a long time since he's seen the prequels and stuff, like, remember that Boba Fett isn't a true Mandalorian, if that makes sense. He wasn't trained by the Mandalorians. Like Mandalorian, we saw him kicking ass of whole batches of stormtroopers at once because he was trained to do that. He was from a young age. Boba Fett wasn't. His dad was killed at a young age, and he was raised by bounty hunters in the Clone Wars. So I mean, I think that's kind of a lot to play into it as well, his heritage and why he's doing what he's doing with the whole not being a sort of evil sort of like an evil overlord. He's kind of going a new route, which I like. But yeah, there were still some very cool Easter eggs in it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with it. Really am. Yeah. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, Ryan, what about you?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. The thing is, I'm glad, because I was actually, when I finished watching it, I was really relieved that it wasn't a straight for straight, it's the Mandalorian but with Boba Fett.
Yeah,
because I was actually worried it was going to be that, and as much as I still probably would have enjoyed it, I was really grateful that one, it did the sort of thing where it didn't actually just focus purely on the bit of how he got out of the Sarlacc pit, and it didn't just focus on the present day. It was, I like the sort of the flashback elements of it, sort of keeping you on your toes. 1 minute you're in one part of the story, and I like that the bacta tank that he's in is sort of the switch between two stories, and also that the screen looks a bit like you're looking through his visor in that kind of grainy kind of blue before it then transitions into the past or to the present. One thing I found, I have one really big question about it, and it's a really odd one. So
who is Boba Fett?
like what the hell? Why does he look so much like Django? So my actual question is like, so when he's in the Sarlacc pit and he wakes up, I would have expected to see maybe one or two of the skiff guards that fell in, but there was a stormtrooper. So now I'm thinking, like, when did the stormtrooper go on? Like, it must have been between the end of Return of the Jedi and before he got out of that pit. There was obviously some kind of Imperial presence on Tatooine around the pit.
I think they needed to explain a little bit more from that scene. They didn't give us any form of it's been X amount of times that he's been down there. Like, how long was he actually down there? It was long enough for his oxygen to run out, but it was also long enough for him to gain about 30 pounds in weight.
Yeah,
but that is the other thing people have pointed out on all the forums. Like, it looks weird when you watch Return of the Jedi followed by this, because he looks completely different.
That one I will forgive based on that.
Which I know they can't help. It's a different actor, but still, it's still funny.
That one I could definitely forgive, but it is funny. But like, it was just a stormtrooper. I know it sounds a really stupid thing to pick up on, but I was just like, so what happened with Imperials around the Sarlacc pit between Return of the Jedi and now? And like you said, how long has it been since Return of the Jedi? I love that you did see the I can never remember the name of the ship. I keep going to say the Azkaban, but that's definitely a different franchise. But like, Jabba's ship all destroyed, the ruins, and the fact you see that Max Rebo had survived as well, as was actually before they cancelled the canon. That was actually in a book, I believe, that he survived. He stole one of Jabba's personal skiffs before the thing blew up.
Oh, right.
And speaking of survivors, I mean, did we all see the fact that this was the first appearance of Rex from Star Tours? The decommissioned Star Tours droid was in the cantina scene before he becomes DJ Rex in Galaxy's Edge. It's still R3X. It's still that same droid because he's got it written on him.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. I didn't pick up on that completely. Yeah, there's a lot of little nods.
Surprise voice actor of the show,
Matt Berry.
Matt Berry.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we've had Rich Naiwadi from the IT crowd voice a droid. We've now had Matt Berry voice a droid. If Chris O'Dowd doesn't voice a droid in the next series of Mandalorian, then it's a wasted opportunity.
Can you imagine his voice on a droid?
Yeah.
It was
a strange Mandalorian. God, that's weird, Jen. Have I tried turning off and on again?
You know what? It would fit. It would fit in the Clone Wars kind of animation, though. Let's be honest. Like, they could put a droid in with that kind of accent.
I've just on the term of Matt Berry, if I want him to play Doctor Who, the next Doctor, so bad, because can you imagine? Like, Hell's Bells, a Dalek.
The Master, he and I were buddies.
I could just hear his voice doing it all the time. Everything would sound like a joke, wouldn't it?
That would be quite funny. But no, as a whole, I really enjoyed it, and I went back and watched it a couple of times, and I think the shame of it is that if there's where The Mandalorian as a series kind of brought in a whole new wave of Star Wars fans, that, there was a lot of kind of people that wouldn't class themselves as Star Wars fans that then got swept up in the fad, the the tsunami that was Mandalorian. I think a lot of people will be waiting for this in anticipation, because obviously it's a continuation, and they'll look at it and go, oh, they're replicating it. They're trying to replicate it with a different color helmet, and not all the little nods and all the little kind of things in it are for people that really kind of know the source material. But I think that you could also pick it up and just enjoy it as a series. But I hope it doesn't get a bad rap, because it's the same shaped helmet and it's a similar kind of origin story in that respect. I'm hoping it's well received by the general public.
I genuinely think, because I know they said that everything we've seen in the trailers were from that first episode. We've seen nothing else now. Going forward, you've not seen a thing, except that I think there's one little scene they've shown us over Christmas that was kind of a sneak in. But
other than that, with all the crime lords in a room, that was the only thing I think that was missing.
The girl on the bike, that new character they introduced randomly over Christmas before it dropped. She looks a bit like Jyn Erso, doesn't she? She looks a little bit like Jyn Erso on the bike with the helmet and stuff. It was it was a really weird little scene. I don't know why that. Anyway, we'll see what that's about when it comes out. But no, I like some of the little nods, like one of the Trandoshans, are they called? They gave him a Wookiee pelt, which I thought was very cool, because obviously he had Wookiee pelts on his original costume from scalping Wookiees and stuff. So I like the fact that they gave him a Wookiee pelt. I thought that was very cool. And I like the fact that not everyone's just bowing down to him, because it would be so easy for them just to write him as this badass that's completely controlling everything. Yeah. But I like the fact that he's coming up against like friction already.
I love weird Crispin Glover type Twi'lek guy. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean by Crispin Glover? Like, I don't know why. Like, if he'd said like, Boba, I'm your density, like, I would have been like, yeah, it fits. Don't worry about it. Leave it. But I agree with you. It was a really odd but kind of good interaction. Like, apologies.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that scene. It was like, oh, just one thing about the what was it called? The
tribute, isn't it?
The tribute. And they're like, what?
Am I the only one that would love it if in the next episode we find out that the mayor of Tatooine is now Hondo? And you just at the end of the episode, just busted in the office and he's sat with his feet up on desk, like, you're finally here, Boba.
That would be brilliant. That would be brilliant.
And that's why he stood up to him.
Watto.
A
very old man Watto.
As much as everybody hated Watto, I love that stupid character. I love him so much.
I think they're going to have to kind of do some kind of fan service there. There's going to have to be some kind of, it's that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, the pointing up kind of meme. There's got to be a part. Yeah, there's wrong franchise. There's got to be something like that at some point. But I was really hoping that the Rancor pit would open up, like that, he was going to do the old Jabba thing, but he's not going to, because he's obviously ruling it. But every time they walked on, I was like, oh, you're on the grate. Come on, somebody do it. But, and obviously it would be something different maybe in there, but,
Can we just say as well, Ming-Na Wen, who is like 59 this year, and she's doing all her own stunts still? Can we just
way is
that
she?
Woman? Yeah,
she looks incredible. She looks incredible.
59 this year,
that lady. That's badass in anything she does, to be fair.
You know what? I actually feel that having watched like Clone Wars and Bad Batch and obviously Mandalorian and now Book of Boba, I actually feel that her story is more complete, if that makes sense. Like, I feel that I know more about her journey than I do about some of the bigger characters, which is really cool.
It feels like she's been there for years now. It feels like she's been there all along. Yeah. She just slots so well into that like OG style franchise. She just fits so well. Yeah.
Which is really bizarre, really, to kind of take this brand new character and kind of throw him in all these new properties, but yet, like you say, just kind of fit in with the norm.
A lot of people are wondering whether we're going to find out that she's from that same. She's actually not humanoid, and that she's actually going to be like one of them, like Sam Wessel style creatures.
Oh, changeling.
Because she has this very similar. Well, she has a very similar costume to that lady from the Clone Wars film. Clone Wars, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Purple suit. It's a very similar style suit, and there's like a metal version of it. So a lot of people are like wondering online whether she could be one of them, and that's why she's close with Boba and stuff like that.
What did you think about the whole kind of coming of age youngling kind of story that obviously Boba was a part of for the what's it people?
I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
The tribe thing. I just love that the Rodin was just such a d-bag. Like, Rodin, do you want me to cut your ropes? And he's like,
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, that was fun. But no, I quite liked it. It kind of, the thing I always liked about Star Wars when I was younger is that it felt like I was watching something that was like a historical piece, but in the future. And that whole storyline there had that feel. You know, it was that coming of age. You're the young boy in the tribe, whatever. You go out and you do, come back with a head or don't come back at all kind of thing. And I just thought that was and just a little cup of water at the end. And I just thought it was a real, and did you not think as well, when, I don't know whether he wasn't the elder, what are they called? The
Tusken Raiders.
Tusken Raiders. Yeah. So when it wasn't the elder of them, but it was another one that had the kind of hood up and stuff like that. Like there was obviously distinctively, but didn't you think that he looked a lot like Darth Raven? Like the costume was like almost identical. When he first walked out,
it was like
first
the
came
Revan
out, I was
mixed with Asherard Het, which is like an old expanded character. Yeah.
But when he first came out, I was kind of like, oh, and I was like, oh, no, it's just the costume. I was like, how is that going to fit in? Like, what? But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And my 2-year-old is already desperately waiting for the second episode. So that. That says it all.
I'm going to start pausing the cantina scenes though and be looking at all the different aliens and being like, what's that one? What's that one? What's that one? What's that one?
Did you love the fact though that it was still the traditional cantina song, but just in a Spanish style? It was still it was still the same tune, but just like on guitars and things. And that was clever.
Do you ever watch stuff with subtitles on?
Yes. Not really.
So I occasionally do, depending on what time of day it is. And if you watch it with subtitles, it actually says like cantina theme variation or something like that. It actually refers to it as like cantina variation theme or something like that.
It's a good way of finding out character names sometimes when they don't mention them, because it says on the subtitles what the characters' names are.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I think it's a really solid start. I hope that it doesn't get a huge amount of bad reviews and stuff, just because I think, like you say, I was really surprised that there was any bad reviews online, because I was like, we live in an age where we're getting an origin story for Boba Fett tied in with his next chapter. Like, what more could you ask for? Like, this was a background character of the original films that became a fan favorite that now has his own like franchise.
Under the Helmet documentary they released with it?
Not yet. I haven't. No, I'll watch.
It's only 20 odd minutes long, but I tell you what, it's actually worth watching before, because I watched it before watching the episode. There was a couple of little things in it. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't sort of realize about Boba Fett. And then when I watched the episode, like for my second time, I watched like the episode, then I watched that, and then I watched the episode again about an hour later, because I didn't do anything that day. And it's really good, but it's true. It's like something stupid, like 4 lines and 6.5 minutes of screen time or something crazy like that.
Yeah, 3 lines is all he had. He wasn't put Commander Solo in the cargo hold and
just like that.
That's the 3 lines. That is literally the only lines he said in the whole film.
I'm glad they didn't do the Darth Vader's brother storyline. That would have been a weird one.
That's not good. But I don't know. He's a cool character. It's a cool, and I really liked as well the flashback to episode 2 as well, with like when Daniel he was young, like with Django's helmet and stuff.
Oh. How cool would it be? I know this is completely left field and far out there, but how cool would it be if Mace Windu was in this TV series and he's like all old and grizzled and survived and missing a hand, and
that would be cool.
Boba Fett down. That would be so amazing.
There's the one thing that I'm trying to rack my brains with is what's going to be their Ahsoka moment, because obviously the Mandalorian had their Ahsoka moment with Ahsoka Tano, and that was but surely the Book of Boba Fett is going to have that.
Either live action Cad Bane, or an introduction of one of the characters from Rebels, potentially Sabine Wren, because she's already cast and she's going to be in Ahsoka.
Okay.
To tie the whole universe together, they could show us Sabine, because she's also a fellow Mandalorian. She could teach him the ways of Mandalore. She could teach him the ways of the Mandalore.
Or she could give him a paint job.
That's all
paint job. If you watch Rebels, she spray paints stuff, right? Paints, PAINT. For the sake of YouTube's algorithms, paint job.
Just edit that whole bit out. Just put some bleeps in it.
Or she could give him the other one. That would be that'd make for good television, wouldn't it?
No, she's young enough to be his daughter. Let's leave this out.
Overthrown.
Cad Bane. I think Cad Bane would be a good shout though, just because of the fact that he's been in.
What, to give him a paint job?
No, I'm trying to get away from this.
Oh, do you know what would be really mind blowing is if it was Rex?
Oh,
Because it would be him playing himself.
a mind blowing paint job.
Playing
himself. If Captain Rex came in, because it would be him seeing a really old version of him.
Some more on the same screen.
Well, they are clones. That is so.
I know.
Hundreds of him on the screen at one point.
Just bring in the whole Bad Batch.
Well, because Rex would be really old by that point. Because obviously he's meant to be the bearded white guy in the Scout Trooper. They actively put him into Return of the Jedi as the bearded, white bearded guy. So it would be him, but it would be much older him.
Technically, his uncle. It would technically be his uncle.
Yeah.
Technically.
But they've made
his father's DNA.
Interesting thing there.
They made that canon though, didn't they? They said that that's who that was.
Yeah,
even though it was.
He did have another name originally. He was like a rebel commando, and they basically just went, "Screw your backstory. You're now Rex."
Can you imagine being on the editing room and going, "That extra looks like Rex."
Oh, he's got a white.
Oh, that was intention. That was intentional. Yeah, like that's Rex. Like tell everyone.
George Lucas is sitting there going, "Yeah, I originally wrote that into the script, and in the special Ultra edition, you're going to see how that all came about."
That's as believable as the little boy in Iron Man being Peter Parker. Let's be honest.
Oh, God,
yeah. Oh, was that Peter Parker? Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. It was him all along.
I don't like when they try and force things into canon. I hate that.
I know.
Or that the Punisher was driving that lorry that time.
Yeah.
That saves Nick Fury. I thought it was just a bad traffic violation, but okay.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I mean, back to Boba Fett. I think it's awesome. I can't wait for episode 2. And I'm looking forward to theorizing about Ahsoka moments and stuff. I'm sure our chats as the weeks go on will be, because realistically, that's the only kind of television we've got Disney Plus sort of Star Wars Marvel for quite some time, isn't it?
They know what they're doing though, don't they? We've just finished Hawkeye. Now we're on Book of Boba Fett. Do we know what's coming out in February? Mid-February?
It's one of the Marvel shows.
There you go. Keeping you subscribed, they're keeping you hooked in. I like how they're doing it though.
And then it'll be
changing from Marvel to Star Wars, Wars. As a fan of both, it's nice to have something every month to watch. But that's why you out with everything at once.
That's why I had arguments with some people online and stuff, like people in my friend circle now. I wasn't just kind of going mental on discussion boards. These are like people, friends of friends and stuff. And it was around Christmas and people saying, "Oh, you can get Disney Plus for this much over Christmas and it's really good." And people were slating it and going like, "Oh, it's rubbish. It's not worth it." And I was like, if you're even a slight fan of Marvel or Star Wars, without even touching the Disney stuff, like if you're a fan of either of those two franchises,
as well.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. And then there's all the kind of the things like Deadpool in there and stuff. Like it's
American Dad.
How you can't get value for your monthly, and it's not even expensive per year. Do you know what I mean? It's
every single Simpsons, Family Guy.
Oh,
there's so much on there.
Yeah. It's how anyone can say
TV as well.
Yeah, that's it. I found a lot of random stuff on there. Like there's this whole documentary series called like The Best of the 90s or something. And then they had like one based on the 80s, one based on the 70s. And that's been awesome to sit and sort of go through.
Yeah. It's one of the best streaming sites out there, without a doubt. Like value for money. 100%. They've got me hooked. And I just hope there's not a massive price hike in the future, because you're hooked now, and it's kind of like I couldn't get by without my Disney Plus fix. And especially
I would get rid of
Disney
one of my other ones and pay a higher price for Disney than I think I would the other way around. Like if Netflix put their price, I think I would cancel Netflix over Disney Plus now, if I'm being honest.
Netflix did that thing, didn't they, where they price hiked and now they've reverted and said, well, you can have it for $5.99 again, like back in the day, for cheaper quality. And it's like some people will do that. Aren't too bothered. So, I mean, Disney Plus won't do it. I can't see them doing it. I think they've got the price margin. I think it might go up occasionally, a little bit, but I don't see them price hiking dramatically.
They're not gonna. No, they're not gonna.
They don't need to. It's Disney. They don't need to.
No. So speaking of Disney Plus, and obviously, stuff that's going out, we have the Eternals coming onto Disney Plus in 12 days. I think it is. I think it's the 14th of January, if my memory serves me correctly.
But that's I've never seen that yet.
Oh, get on it! Like it is an awesome one. but yeah, Eternals obviously lands on Disney Plus this month, so we'll kind of talk about that when that's out.
Finally.
So it's
well,
the thing
saw
is,
it in the cinema, and I've got no one to talk to about it.
I was meant to. I had like 3 times I was supposed to go because of this damn situation we were in with the pandemic and everything. Something came up every single time, and then it was gone. So I'm really excited for that one. But that is obviously coming out.
Resident Evil is coming onto Amazon Prime this month. I don't remember the date, but it's coming on to
the
Amazon
new
Prime.
one.
Yeah, it's coming to Amazon Prime this month. You can pay £10 and you own the copy of it. You get to keep it. So I think that's awesome. They did that with that. It's got a really random name. That film with Nicolas Cage that was basically a rip-off of Five Nights at Freddy's. It was called like Wonderland or something.
Oh yes, yeah.
Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland. That was it. And he doesn't
speak the whole film.
He doesn't speak in the whole film, which is weird for Nick Cage. But yeah, that film came out and it was still at cinemas, and we got it on Amazon Prime for $5.99, and you owned a copy of it when it was done. So I mean, if they keep doing stuff like that, I'd rather do that than cinema.
Yeah,
especially a minute.
No, I love the cinema. I need to see it on the giant screen. I'm sorry.
I do love the cinema, and things like No Way Home, for example. I couldn't have watched that on a small screen and I had to see that on the big screen. Like that's very, very rarely does a film come that I'm like, I have to 100% see that in the cinema. But
for me, it's
No Way Home.
Special effects driven stuff. I definitely need to see in the things. So like your Jurassic Parks, your Marvel, Star Wars, stuff like that. Need to see that in the cinema. So when it's like big dramas and stuff like that, like if we're talking like, I mean, I don't know why Good Will Hunting came to my head because that's not exactly recent, but if it's something like that, where it's not special, it's all story driven, or Green Book, for example, great film. I didn't feel like I needed to see it in the cinema. So if it's not special effects driven, I'll see it at home. Well, I'll still probably go to the cinema, but special effects ones, I feel like they're designed to be seen first in the cinema. So,
but then
my argument is to that nowadays. My argument to that is you've sat and watched Mandalorian at home. Book of Boba Fett at home. You've seen Hawkeye at home. They're all cinematic adventures from big companies that we've watched on the small screen.
Yeah, but given the option, I would have gone to see in cinema.
Really?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier. They even said that it was like cinema quality, big budget effects and stuff, and on the small screen.
They did
with that said, though,
marathons at the cinema. If they did like 3-episode blocks in the cinema, I would go and re-see them just to get that effect.
Yeah. With that said, though, Disney Plus are doing that very clever now in IMAX kind of option. And if you're not going to an IMAX cinema to see it, you're actually getting a better quality viewing at home on the IMAX version. Like, so things like Endgame and stuff, like I haven't got an IMAX local to me, so I just saw it in a standard cinema. Whereas I've now rewatched it in IMAX on my telly at home and got a better like version, if you like, because of the way that Disney Plus doing this now in IMAX thing. Obviously, it's only a small amount of films that are doing it too, but might be the way forward. They're trying to destroy it. The mouse is taking on the cinema now. like, what can I go on? What can I take on next? Let's just take on the cinema. Just which one? Which
cinema? Get rid of 3-inch figures. Transformers, get rid of them. They don't need it anymore.
Speaking of the mouse. Speaking of the mouse, I know Jacob's a fan of the parks and stuff as well. And did you see that Animal Kingdom potentially getting a new expansion? And every man of the dog are saying it's going to be Endor because they need to bring Star Wars to Animal Kingdom, and I think it will be Endor.
It's got to be.
Happening. Yeah,
it's got to be.
Imagine all the treetop stuff they could build and things.
I would love to see that. The animatronics they could have are just in random trees.
Yeah. Can you imagine them doing it? Like, I don't know what it's called over here, but like the what's it called? The high ropes thing where it's like in the trees, monkey something or
Go Ape.
Go Ape. Yeah. Can you imagine if they had like a Go Ape styled attraction in an Endor set? Oh, come on, if anyone can do it.
As kids, like when I was a kid, my dad like saved up and took us all to Disneyland.
Endor.
to Endor, yeah. I lived amongst the Ewoks for a week. I'm actually in the Caravan of Courage, just so we don't realise I am away from Caravan of Courage. But like
one of your siblings is half Ewok.
Exactly. Great. I mean, nightmare to feed, but but we went to Disneyland, Florida, and obviously as like the biggest Star Wars fan, I think I almost passed out from just the excitement, just seeing everything there. Because he had the speeder bikes. There's a picture of me on one of the speeder bikes you could sit on with just the biggest smile. I mean, so now, even as an adult, I desperately want to go back because that blew my mind as a child. And now it's not just a ride with a lot of stuff around it. It's a world that I can go and visit in person, and I really want
Mate, I'll say one thing, and I'm sure that Sorrel will back me up on this, but if the speeder bike that you've got a picture of yourself on is the one I'm thinking of, it's still there opposite the Star Tours ride.
Yeah,
so you could recreate that picture. So save those pennies and get there because it is incredible. I've said this before. Galaxy's Edge opened like a day after I left the last time I was out there, and I've never cursed a holiday more, the end of a holiday more, when I worked out that it was finishing the day before we were coming home, opening the day after we were coming home. I was like, that's mad. That is absolutely mad. I got one other thing though that I can tell you about Disney parks just quickly that I think is a mad coincidence. So it was before me and my wife were married, and we were out there on one of my birthdays actually, and it was my birthday, and we were like, what park are we going to go to? And we went and did all the Star Wars stuff, obviously before Galaxy's Edge was there. And you could queue up and you could meet BB-8 and Kylo Ren. There was no Darth Vader, so it's Kylo Ren, Chewbacca, BB-8 and a stormtrooper, I think, at the time. And anyway, so we queued up and the kids loved it and all the rest of it. And you know how they've always got like the steward there that's kind of dressed up as well.
Yeah.
And I'm stood next to Kylo Ren and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then I said to my wife, or not wife at the time, I was like, her name's Jill. I was like, do you want to do it, Jill? And the steward went, oh, my name is Jill, to my wife. And she was like, oh, right, okay, like with a J. Yeah, oh, that's really cool. Like, and they were just chatting. And then my wife had a basketball jersey on at the back with her maiden name on the back. And then this steward goes, that's my name. So they had the exact same name, right? But then what made it even funnier is I was like,
it's my husband Jake.
Yeah, I was like, do you want to yeah. I was like, do you want to take a picture? And she was like, yeah, of course I do. Stood next to this other woman and like the two of them were like next to each other pointing, and in the background there's Kylo Ren doing this. Because obviously he's trained to do his like, right, they're going to take a picture. So he was standing thinking they would take a picture with him, and he's like off in the background. But yeah, I can't look at Kylo Ren now without thinking like, oh mate, you got buoyed off by a couple of women with the same name.
Sad Adam Driver going, oh.
Yes. Oh,
some kids like me.
The last time we went,
good.
The last time we went, it was amazing because it was before Galaxy's Edge, just like yourself. I think we went about a similar time. It was just before Galaxy's Edge opened. I think it was like a few months later when we left, it had opened. And it was International Women's Day in America, and they had Rey meeting with Chewbacca that day.
Oh, nice.
But they didn't tell you when you entered the queue. They just didn't tell you. It just said you're meeting Chewbacca. And then when you sort of went around the little corner and you went in the room, my little daughter Paige, who was 3 at the time, saw Rey, and I've never seen a kid run so fast to a character.
Amazing.
They just put her arms around her and just would not let go. And
That's
then like
incredible.
she was aside with like ruffling her hair and stuff. We've got some great photos. And that was when it sort of like hit me that that's her Luke Skywalker. That's her Luke Skywalker, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, it was obviously if I'd have met Luke, I'd have gone mental. She's met her version of it, you know what I mean? That's her hero. So as much as when we all like bash on the sequels a little bit, to the kids of this generation, that is their Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I've said that. That's why Kylo Ren is one of my favorite villains, just because regardless of what everyone says, he is their generation's Darth Vader. Like he ticks all the boxes the same as Darth Vader did for us. You know, like for like, are they quite as good? That's like, you know, putting a boxer from the 70s up against a boxer from now. Like you can't compare the two. Like they're different things.
He was my favorite character from the sequels easily.
Yeah, he was right. He was right for the new generation, basically.
Yeah,
great casting as well.
The last thing on Disney parks before we move on, I've just got to say, because we did there was like a Guardians of the Galaxy thing there as well when we were there, and you could walk in and you could meet Star-Lord and Baby Groot. And obviously Baby Groot was like an animatronic, and it was really bizarre. It was in one of these kind of side. It was in like Hollywood something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was
where Sully and Mike meet now.
Yes, yeah. I think that is the right place. But it was and this was before the Toy Story part of it had all been open and that. And I just remember seeing it, and I was like, "Oh, this is really random." But my son was like, "Oh yeah, I want to go in." We went in, and the Groot was animatronic, and on top of all the flight cases and that, and looked brilliant. And the Star-Lord, the costume was spot on, but he was a little bit heavier than Chris Pratt, and his facial hair and hair didn't quite match up, but he did the voice quite well and everything. And my son to this day is still adamant that he met Chris Pratt's Star-Lord, because obviously he's old enough now to go, Chris Pratt is Star-Lord, and he's also Owen in Jurassic Park. But at the time, he was adamant that that was Star-Lord he met. And I'm there looking like going, you're really punching him, mate. Like, to get, you know, was the real guy off today? And you just said you'd step in, like, because this is not Disney quality impersonations. But to them, they meet those characters, don't they? And it's just, I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I want to go and do the whole Marvel stuff with all the Marvel characters because they just look brilliant. Yeah, I need to get back out there. Let's just get this pandemic over and done with and get everyone out there again. So
before we make ourselves all sad, I mean, was there any toy news to uplift our spirits? Because otherwise,
we're
all going to be sad about not being a part.
I just
good news.
We've got some quite a bit of toy news actually. I mean, over Christmas,
really?
I mean, for over Christmas, you think it'd be quiet, but McFarlane hasn't shut up all Christmas long. But the best part was on Christmas Eve. Did you see NECA's announcements?
Which ones are we talking? Because I might have seen these.
They released four. They released four announcements, one after another. So the first thing they gave us was the teaser image for Krampus, and they said it's coming next holiday season.
Yes, on the rooftop, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the old. It's the movie poster, isn't it? That I think. I rewatched as soon as they announced that. I rewatched Krampus on Christmas Eve morning. I'm very excited. I love my monsters and stuff, so I'm very excited they're bringing him out. I'm glad NECA are doing it. I think they'll make a version of him, so I'm really looking forward to that. Then they released the Back to the Future accessory sets that are coming out. That's going to have the dog. Is it Einstein the dog?
Yeah, Einstein or Copernicus.
Yeah. Obviously, there is the Gargoyles announcement, but we won't be getting that because of licensing. But yeah, packaging teaser for Bronx came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one that got me most excited was the Universal Monsters accessory pack. So they're going to be doing the mummy accessories, which will include a giant sarcophagus. That's how you're saying it.
Nice.
And the Book of the Dead and things like that from the mummy and stuff. So they're giving us loads of accessories for him.
That is really cool. That's really cool.
Actually.
I'm surprised that Hasbro have to be one of the last brands to jump on this accessory packs idea. You know, so many other brands have done it. And I know that it's a question that's been raised a few times and they've always kind of addressed it with the same answers. But surely, even just in their repertoire of accessories they've got now, they could package a load of those up and see how well they sell.
They did actually used to do it. This is the funny thing. So Hasbro used to do it with Star Wars a lot. You used to get the accessory pack. When it would be, originally it was just, it wasn't a particular figure. You'd have like a bigger, maybe a little droid or a fish. It was in episode 1, they started doing accessory packs. They had just lightsabers, soft goods cloaks, mouth rebreathers, things you can put on the bottom of the feet to make like fins and stuff. Then they had hanger based stuff, and then they went a little bit further. A couple down the line, the accessory packs got bigger, and you had like one figure. Or like the Hoth accessory pack had like a tauntaun and had loads of Hoth based accessories and storm the snow trooper blasters and stuff like that. So they really went to town on it for a while, and then they just stopped not long after that era. But the Hasbro used to make them. I
just think for the 6-inch line in particular, for the Black Series and for the Legends, they've got such a repertoire of accessories now that because, you know, they're pumping out new ones with every single figure, you know, just to throw in a couple of different effects and pistols and guns and masks and whatnot. I think it'd be silly not to at least test the waters with that. But who knows? What else did we get announced? So we obviously NECA.
So that was all from NECA. Then we've just had like a shed load from DC Multiverse. So they've announced that the Endless Winter set is coming with the Builder figure and stuff. So that set includes, my ring light's kind of in the way here, I can't read that. Includes Jon Stewart's Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Black Adam, and the Frost King is going to be your big Builder figure there, and there's a Wonder Woman variant and stuff. Looks pretty cool series.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty good. Then they announced the Titan Joker from the Batman Arkham series. So you know the big bad guy at the end of the first game when Joker pumps himself full of that serum crap.
Is it a re-release or is it for a new mold?
It's a whole new figure from McFarlane because the last one would have been made by DC Direct, wouldn't it?
It was,
as far as I'm aware, this is a new mold.
You're right, with the new head.
It was quite a popular figure as well because it doubled up as well. There were so many kind of things that you could customize. One of the most common ones was like a pit custom that people did using the Titan Joker.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd be interested to see what McFarlane do with this.
That's cool.
Yeah. Then we've got Clayface, because obviously they did a Clayface as a part of, DC Multiverse did before McFarlane got hold of it. They made Clayface as a Bath figure, and it was the most popular Bath they've ever done, but it was the hardest one to finish. Yeah. So McFarlane are basically redoing it, retooling it, and re-releasing it as a part of the McFarlane's DC Multiverse wave, and it'll be its own standalone figure. So a lot of people have jumped on that one because there's so many people wanted that modern version of Clayface. And they're making him a lot bigger and giving him some nice accessories and stuff. So that does look pretty good as well. The one that made everyone cringe, did you see it? The new Batman movie version of Bruce Wayne without the helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, that face sculpt is atrocious.
It just looks
like, look like him.
It just looks like an angry emo kid from like a 90s film. Do you know what I mean? Don't it? It's like,
like proper sunken, blacked out eyes, this mop haircut. Yeah.
We're joking about like 90s sort of like teen films, but that it's like, oh, don't talk to him. He doesn't like anyone. He killed a man once. It's like,
don't talk to him about vampires.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being Robert Pattinson and being sent that? Like, this is your new figure for the new film with your likeness, and then looking like, going, that's my likeness.
Yeah.
Just got over Twilight, man. Really?
The way I don't know whether it's just the kind of the customizer in me, but I always look at how good a sculpt is to whether you could do something with it for another property, for example. So take Mace Windu, for example. You could take the Mace Windu and make a Nick Fury. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's easy. You couldn't take this and make, not that you would want to, but you couldn't make an Edward from Twilight out of this figure. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and that's how I kind of look at it. Like the
Cedric Diggory.
What? No,
you couldn't even do that with it, mate.
No, you couldn't.
Could you make an Edward Scissorhands from it?
No.
No,
you could make some angry.
No, but it's because you said it looked really gothy and deep eyes. I thought maybe you could make at least something out of it. So why not Edward Scissorhands?
You could make he looks more like the Penguin, I think. When I first saw it, I thought it was a Penguin kind of reimagining.
I've got to see this.
Yeah, he's just very odd. Don't turn your camera off. I bet he don't. I bet he's.
I'm not turning it off. I was just going to pause it because I wanted to go and see. I want to see this thing.
You just look it up afterwards. But it's yeah. And I don't know, is it an official photo that they released? Because even the photo just kind of looks a little bit like,
oh yeah, it's official.
Hey, I'm so upset and depressed. it's just even the action figure looks annoyed with itself. It's kind of like, it's like, yeah.
It's the figure that nobody asked for and nobody wanted, and we've got it anyway.
There's a lot of that. The is it the Batman? Is that the official title of it? But there's a lot of merchandise popping up. I did notice that, like aimed at different ages as well.
Yes.
And I've seen quite a lot that's aimed at the younger market because obviously it's Batman.
Basic figures look better than the McFarlanes.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, it doesn't look like it's a based for kids film.
No, I liken this as to when they released kind of Alien figures and Predator figures, Terminator 2 figures, and
Rambo.
Parents were probably going, this is not a kids' film. Why are they making toys of this? But yeah, so I don't know.
Lana Toys are doing it again now. Lana Toys have started doing that again recently.
Yeah,
the Predators land, and they've just landed the Terminator franchise as well now. So they're continuing that line of Kenner sci-fi stuff. So they're going to be making Terminator one. So I'm guessing we're going to get the T-800, the endoskeleton one.
I reckon we'll get a 3-pack with an Alien, a Predator, and a Terminator.
Well, they tend to release them. They tend to give us 6-inch figures, and they're usually sets of 3. So we got the Jungle Predator, the City Predator, and then the Translucent Predator. Then for Alien, they gave us the Runner, the Dog, and these regular Xenomorph. I think with the 3. So then for Alien, for Terminator, I'm guessing we'd get the silver endoskeleton, the Terminator, and probably the T8. That T1000, is it? The
T1000.
The cop. I'm guessing we'll give us those 3.
Or you'll get like a battle damaged one with half a
face missing.
And they're not badly priced either. They're about £20, aren't they?
$9.99.
So affordable.
Is it a tenner? Wow, I thought it was 20.
I've got the new Alien ones to review because I look for 10. I like pocket money toys, as I call them. That to me is a pocket money toy. As a kid, if you gave me the option of a Marvel Legend at £20, or you gave me the option of buying 2 of those Aliens for tenner each, I'd buy the 2
2 every time, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, I like them. I call them pocket money toys, and I love reviewing them.
I'm gonna have to have a look.
Alien line was really good as well, though. I mean, all the aliens came in different random colors, but like, they did the big alien queen, and it had like electronics in it and stuff like that. They even did the APC.
Let me get it, because this one here that I've got is actually based on the original color scheme, I believe.
And I know Ryan will know more about this than me.
I am an alien nerd. Yeah, that looks like the one from Aliens, and it even comes with the tube from the LV-42 lab.
Yeah, it's got the little face hugger in the tube. You can open the tube and let the face hugger come out as well.
Yeah, that's based on Aliens. That's awesome.
Is that like
I'm gonna have to get that for a tenner.
It's that like metallic blue, and yeah, for a tenner you can't go wrong at that. And for the accessory that's included, you can use that in multiple things.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, those are the other 3 you can get.
So just quick, while we're on this one, so
nice.
How many is that your first toy of 2021?
No, I got that before Christmas.
You got that? Have you bought any things like we're on the second, third day of the year?
Yeah.
You bought anything?
Yeah.
So the only one I told you about this earlier, but this was my only purchase so far this year. I've got a lot in the post, but this was my only actual purchase. I was like, I had to do it. I put off getting it for ages, and then I was like, you know what? Even if it's just for that single ungoggled head sculpt, but there are there's a lot of differences, to be honest with you, between the earlier figures and these ones. So, I'm happy with that. Quite expensive, but
Series 86 Grimlock. It's on its way. It's arriving tomorrow, I think.
Nice. He's got the symbiote. He's got the symbiote Spider-Man. I've actually got them. I've got the whole wave.
Another Spider-Man.
The whole wave's in the post. The whole wave is in the post, so I will have those very soon.
Nice.
That one, the Spider Armor Mark 1, is actually a really nice looking figure. It's much nicer than the production shots made it look, I think. Yep. It's a suit that I've really been looking forward to getting, and I think the production shots didn't do it as much justice as the in-hand look.
I'm actually even tempted with that one myself, just from nostalgia purposes, because like that was one of my favorite toys as a kid. Was my 90s Spider Armor one.
And just as a quick thing as well, the randomly, I don't know what's going on with distribution again, but the new Star Wars Wave of Black series with Boba and Shand and stuff that's going to be in it. Kapow and that are showing it as still be coming out in May of this year. However, Smiths have put them on their website today, and they're going to be available on the 26th of this month. So
interesting.
I'm not sure if I'm hoping Kapow and that get them at the same time, but it's random. Smiths are getting all sorts now. They're getting stuff straight away.
They're doing good. They're
out Toys R Us. Toys R Us.
Like Toys R Us have got some competition when they come back this year. They're going to struggle against Smiths.
But like those retro Spider-Man, for example, they've got them on the shelf today, ahead of me being sent them by one of the retailers. That was pre-ordered and whatnot. As soon as they dropped, it was pre-ordered. But Smiths have got them on the shelf. Now, fair enough, they haven't got the whole wave on the shelf where I was, but they've been on the shelf. They were all on the shelf at one point. But what's really, really refreshing is that you can walk in there and they have a full Marvel Legends shelf now. Like
that could be a new segment for us actually after Ash's video. So Ash's weekly pre-order check for the new year. So Ash, can you confirm the first show of the new year? Have you pre-ordered anything?
Nope.
Fantastic. No. We'll tune in next week and find out if you have.
you need a cutaway. Like it's just I'm a Family Guy. Ash, have you pre-ordered anything? No. Okay.
I think it's because I've said it. I'm gonna do videos periodically throughout the year and sort of discuss whether I've missed anything, because I'm guinea pigging it. I'm guinea pigging it. I'm not saying it's a good thing what I'm doing. I'm just trying it. I'm not boycotting. Well. Yeah, I'm not boycotting the online retailers because they're amazing. It's just whoever gets it first is getting my money. I think that's a good thing for business. Surely, so that's good to have competition out there again.
Yeah.
If Toys R Us gets it first, I'm grabbing it from them. If it's Kapow, it's Kapow.
With this one, this one came up to pre-order at the same time as like the obviously the White Vision and whatnot. Yeah. And I pre-ordered the ones that I wanted, and I've got them. Like they came when they came. But for me, that was not one that interested me. Seeing it on the screen, I wasn't interested. I was like, I've got both of those figures. I don't need to do it. But seeing it on the shelf and knowing it was there, I was like, well,
you just impulse it.
Yeah, it was. after I saw it in hand, I was like, I need to have that. That's a must need want kind of thing now. So yeah, it's
the
doing
Spider-Man Legends,
the right thing.
Those Spider-Man Legends I pre-ordered Hobgoblin from Comics and Cocktails because I wanted Hobgoblin for my villain line. I didn't pre-order the Spider-Man. I just weren't bothered for him when I saw the production shots. When I got to Smith's and saw them, I jumped at Ben Reilly, which I would never jump at normally. And the armored one looked amazing in hand. And I just jumped at the chance to get them all while I was there because they had them on the shelf, so I bought them. I think that's important. Impulse buying.
Brilliant. I think we should take a bit of a side turn and cut to our segment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we should. It's a very exciting segment. So, of course, as I said at the beginning, we had the pleasure of speaking with the one and only Steve Evans, Mr. Stevie18 on Instagram. But he is, I can never remember his full title, but the design and creative director of Hasbro Marvel. And he just covers it all. So
he gone down figures at Hasbro.
He's the director for Marvel, isn't he? He does all the Marvel products, not Star Wars.
Yeah. No. He used to do Star Wars. Like I said, before we do cut over to it, I have done a one-to-one interview with him about his collection and stuff. So if you're interested in finding out a bit more about him, then check out some of the other videos. I'll put a link in the description of this one anyway. But it is just great to hear his backstory and kind of his passions and stuff. Whereas this one that we're going to cut to is a lot more about the stuff that you guys are watching now would be interested in. And that is, of course, the retro 3 3/4 inch line and the MCU concept misdone figures and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's cut over to our chat with Steve Evans. Okay, so I'd like to welcome to the Geek Week in review, of course, the wonderful Steve Evans. Steve, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Doing well.
If you haven't already, then do go and check out my Behind the Toys interview with Steve, where we delve a little bit into his collection and his journey into collecting and how he became to be the person he is today. So do go and check that out on the channel. But we're gonna utilize this time with you a little bit differently, and we're gonna talk about something that's quite new, but kind of a callback to something quite old. So the Marvel retro 3 3/4 inch is something that kind of exploded onto the scene. Within the we worked out about a year ago. A year ago, and it seems to be going from strength to strength. There's a huge following, behind it. There's a huge group of fans that are really kind of buying into that. I'll put my hands up. It's not my line. I've seen them in the stores and I've picked them up and I've kind of gone, oh, can I get it? Can I not? Can I get? Yeah. But
stage left even.
Listen, I think I've got enough Hasbro product to solidify myself as a fan. I was just
almost get a pass. Not quite. You
almost get. Okay, I'll go and buy a couple. Brian, send me some for next time. Yeah. No. But they are. Sorry.
Sorry, man. I was gonna say that, like I've kind of said before, I'm not massive into the line just yet. I would love, though. I would get into it more, I think, if things like the play sets became a thing. Like when I was a kid, my favorite things were getting those retro card style play sets that were just held on by two pieces of Kenner plastic and just a big cardboard piece. But that cardboard piece to me was, the Daily Bugle, or it was the bank scene where they were trying to rob it. And it was like, it was a whole play set, just one piece of cardboard. And like that Star Wars Emperor set we got recently, I think the Marvel line could really do some damage with that kind of stuff. Like give us the Cerebro even for Charles Xavier to sit in, or the Danger Room to stand the X-Men in. I think it could create some very cool display pieces as well to have on your collections.
Ash, I'm going to tell you exactly what's coming in the next couple of years, but I'm going to mouth it behind this card.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh wow! So
it's cool. On, no, but you're right. You're right. This idea of just that old school retro kind of cheesiness. Mm-hmm. Is just so endearing and so charming and fun to do. There's lots of stuff. We're going lots of different places with it, and it has done well in the last year. So, and it's going to continue to continues to do well. The thing I like about it, regardless of the aesthetic and what it's meaning, is that we get to do all those kind of like core A-list characters, but then also be able to, eventually, hopefully, get to all the kind of like weird secondary and tertiary kind of characters, because they haven't been done before in this format. So that's kind of what I get excited about. And to be frank, it's, I was brought up on Star Wars. I got into Marvel sort of like early 90s when I got into comics, when it was like Jim Lee, Eric Larson, McFarlane, and all those kind of like rock star artists. I came into the art. And so I started collecting X-Men and X-Factor and things, and got into trading cards. So I kind of know a bit about Marvel, but there's like, I think Jesse at Marvel said like 8,000 characters. So it's a learning for me. It's like I start at the base and I go, okay, who's this character? And it's like, all right, Iceman. All right, let me read about him. Okay. Oh, manipulator of cold with the ability to freeze. Iceman chills the heat of battle with the greatest of ease. I'm like, why does it rhyme? That's kind of cool. So
it has to be in that kind of voice as well, because regular monotonic voice wouldn't work.
I'm so glad you read it that voice. That's the same voice I read them in. Every time I do my videos, I'm like, it's like it just comes out like Spider-Man swinging into action.
There's no other voice. That's how it is, right?
It is. So, we've said on previous shows when we've discussed the Marvel line, and I know it's not something that would happen in the immediate future, but definitely kind of moving forward. But it would make for an amazing HasLab project, if there was enough of a fan base behind, to give us sort of something, because it wouldn't even have to be huge, would it? But you get something like Quinjet or some kind of play set, it really would. So I hope the line continues to grow, because I think there's potential for some really amazing things going
forward.
forward.
A very big defender and celebrator of the line on this channel. If you're seeing the other previous Geek Weeks, I go on about the retro line rather a lot, to the point where I think these guys are going to boot me off the group soon. I am
me and you, Ryan. We're like that because
we're keeping it going.
This line was sort of being developed when I joined Marvel. So I joined Marvel a couple of years ago, and I remember coming in and I chatted with Ryan Storm, and I was like, okay, what's going on? What's new? What's happening? And he's like, oh yeah, we're doing Legends, we're doing the Legends gear, we're doing this, and this. And like, oh, we're looking to do this new retro line. I was like, ooh. Like, having being a retro collector, I was like, ooh, what do you mean? What does that look like? And he said, well, we've got these 3 3/4 inch figures. We want to do like 5 points of articulation, maybe 7 just with the cuffs. And we're thinking about making it as if it's Kenner's done it. And I went, whoa, hang on, stop. What do you mean? Kenner Marvel? Like, what do you mean? That's not retro. They never did it. Like, he had Mego doing it up until 81 or something when they went bankrupt. And then Kenner decided to go and do Superpowers, decided to do DC, and Mattel did Secret Wars. Like, what do you mean? And then he started, yeah, I know, but we're obviously Kenner, because Hasbro and Kenner. And we want to do these 3 3/4 inch, 3.75 inch figures, and we want to do them so they're like really reasonable to get and bright colors and stuff. So I went away and I kind of checked out on my history. And I remember coming back to him. It's almost like I'm the Pope. I came back and went, it makes sense. We can do this because it's just a massive what if. What if Kenner got the license? It'd have to be around 90, it'd have to be about 81, around the time that Mego lost it. But before 84, when we went Superpowers, where we went to 4.5 inch. So you're around Indiana Jones Adventures was 82, you got 83 with Jedi, 3 3/4. Yeah, okay.
Jones,
yeah.
There's a forgotten line. Love that line.
That works. What if? And so that's where we started. We started around 82, I'd say. All these things that we've been doing are sort of like, if Kenner made them in 1982-ish, what would they be? They'd still be this size. They wouldn't necessarily have all the spring arms and things because we wanted to keep the price accessible. They would be all this sort of still kind of wacky art. John Tyler Christopher does the artwork. So this is very kind of John Byrne-ish, and it works. And I remember a lot of people were like, will the fans get it? Will the fans react badly if it's Kenner because they didn't do it? And I'm like, look, I'm the oldest, fartiest kind of collector that you've got sitting around, and I'm a big Kenner fan and all the retro stuff, and I think it's cool. So yeah, I think maybe we'll be all right.
It definitely taps into that part of the market, because obviously with me, Jake and Ash, they collect sort of similar but different things, like same but different. because I'm also a massive like Transformers fan, and like the original Power Ranger lines. I have like the helmets and stuff like that. But it's always been really like the original Star Wars figures since I was a kid. Even though I was only born in 1990, that was the era when everything was at boot sales, and I just fell in love with Star Wars for the first time. So for me, they were never called vintage though. Me and my mum, when we were going to boot sales, they were called originals.
Yeah.
It was like the 95 stuff, like that's the new stuff, Star Wars, and then we had, how many originals have you got? Oh, I've got the originals. I've got the original, blah blah blah. But I've never really been a collector of 6-inch, not 8. I keep saying 8-inch because I think I'm thinking Power Ranger still. And every time I say 8-inch, I get like this glaring look from 2 parts of the screen. It's like booting it off. So I've always been a 3 sort of inch like figure collector, and I loved all the different lines as well, because you had like the Flash Gordon line, Clash of the Titans. You know, I mean, to be able to get a Book of Boba Fett, by the way, Ray Harryhausen tribute. No spoiler alert.
Yes,
seen it,
slightly.
The creature. I really thought that looked a bit like the Kraken. I was like, oh, that would be exciting. So for me, like, but I love Marvel films. I love Marvel comics, but the 6-inch is just a scale I just really can't get into, because I've been so one scale my entire life. It's just and the other thing is, I'm maybe a bigger sinner. I like to mix up my display. So when I have like my Cantina display, I love to put all the creatures and characters from every franchise in the same style. So as long as it's retro and it's 3 3/4 inch or whatever, it fits in. So this Marvel retro line got me hooked into a Marvel line, like a brand new Marvel line, because I was like, you said, I was like, oh my god, it's like it kind of made, you know, Marvel figures at the same time as Star Wars. And so I can have Iceman at the bar, so I can have the ice bar in Cantina. Mos Eisley needs an ice bar.
Absolutely. You can mix and match. You can absolutely mix and match. That's what I love about them, because you can see how the office ends, but like they all play together. When I go upstairs, they all come out, they open the doors, and they have a little play together. And then they
need a Loki in your sail barge. Just Loki in the back of the sail barge. That would be quite good. My rancor dropped again. Sorry.
I'm gonna put. I'll open the hole. And we'll stick him on the barge right now. There you go. He's right next to the.
See, that's what it's all about.
Look what you've done, Ryan. Look what you've done, Ryan.
Actually, in my office, I just remembered. In my office, I've got the skiff with all the Marvel Legends 375, all the retro 375. Because it gives it a pop of colour, because it's brown.
Exactly.
You did that more savage than what I do on my videos. That was just brutal.
What can we put on Dagobah? I mean, Captain America and Dagobah, maybe?
That's all.
Yeah, right. Ryan, you grab one of yours and rip it open. Go on.
Come on, Ryan.
Do it now.
I can't. They're behind the rug.
Let them breathe.
They're behind the rug. I'm not a minion box collector. I open the crap out of everything, because because people go like, oh, it's a really nice figure. I'm like, but you've not touched it. How do you know? The articulation's great. It could be a lie.
The two I've opened most brutally, I've done on my Toy Tales things. I did a Tron Warrior, because I wanted to guarantee to get the long staff that was glow in the dark, because they're too repro. I wanted to guarantee, so I got that and ripped that open. And then Indiana Jones, I had an Indy on card. Now, before you go, it was resealed. It was resealed, so it's not like $1,500, because that would be obnoxious of me. But like, it's just something about that.
I still wouldn't judge you. Because I get it. I totally get it.
Because that's what we did. At Christmas, it was like you knew you got a Star Wars figure because you knew what it looked like. There's no way to disguise wrapping that. There's no way. You go, and it's.
Unless you got 2 and you put them back and then wrapped it up.
Yeah. Jacob, you're obviously spoiled as a child. You get 2. What are you talking about? You just get 1.
Come on, Steve. I've already told you that I wasn't. Let's be honest. don't make me go back. Don't make me regress. No.
As to what you were saying as well about the fans' reaction to that line. I never heard one person. I'm not sure about you guys, but I never heard one person ever say the words that they didn't get it or they didn't understand the concept.
No.
Or I didn't even hear anybody say, oh, Kenner never produced Marvel. No one ever said it. It was just, these are retro carded figures. And I think we were so used to getting them from like the Star Wars line doing the card backs. And I think people are just used to the card back lines at this point and the retro style, especially since the Star Wars team started doing the, I don't want to call them repros, but you know what I mean? Like the reproductions of the original sort of Star Wars figures. Can
I retro collection.
The figures that they scanned to do that
with the originals
are sitting right over there.
Nice.
Oh, really? They used to.
Yeah. The first thing. I think, yeah, Star Wars and the Empire.
Yeah, so we've only had A New Hope and Empire, unless you were just dropping a hint at the Return of the Jedi line.
No, I haven't been asked to provide any more figures that I can tell you about at the moment. But I will always know that multicolored Darth Vader is sitting next door to his great-grandfather.
That's incredible.
I'm waiting.
I am your multicolored father.
I'm just waiting for all the reproductions of the vintage Ewoks, because that place that's looking a bit boring on its own at the minute. It needs more Ewoks.
Yeah, Ewoks definitely one. It's funny you talk about like ripping them open and that, because obviously we talked about, you know, on the Behind the Toys interview, we talked about letting them breathe and mint on card and stuff like that. But I find the retro line, like the 6-inch and the 3 3/4 inch, it's kind of, it's a real debate, because the packaging is so good looking, and kind of you know, you rip them off. I've figured out a technique of cutting down the seam now on the 6-inch ones and opening them up so I can keep. There are certain ones like my Venom, the PulseCon exclusive Venom, that I've obviously opened up carefully because I didn't want to ruin the packaging. But I'm very much an opener. I don't think I'd be as savage as what you just did with the Hulk, but it's every time I get.
It was a spare one, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay, there we go. I'll edit that bit out.
He gets them from work.
But
I'm not going to rip this one open because I have one of each. I have one up there, and then I have one in my pack, so I won't be ripping this one open because I have one of it, because the artwork is amazing.
But it is the packaging is really, you know, and. You know, no disrespect to the other packaging, because the other packaging is brilliant. But, you know, you look at the kind of a standard kind of Build-A-Figure wave, apart from the artwork on the side and the back, it's a box. Whereas the retro packaging, it's part of the purchase. You know, it's the whole thing is how it looks. So I understand why people do keep them.
What I like about this is, and this was something that I was quite adamant with when I joined the team, it's like, it's decent cardstock. That's decent cardstock. That does not warp. And also, we managed to keep the little Chad in
Chad. I didn't know it was a Chad until that, you know, that group we're on, the retro collection one. I didn't realize that was such an education, because everyone kept asking, "Oh, have you got Chads?" I'm like, who is Chad, and why is everyone obsessed with this guy?
That is the Chad. Now, traditionally, retailers don't like that, because when you put it on the shelf, it all falls down and creates a mess, and someone's got to clean it up. But I remember, you know, I'll give a lot of props to Ryan on this. Like I said, let's keep the Chads in. Like, let's keep them in. Let's keep that, like, because we know how important that is, and it adds differentiation. So, like, some people want to collect the Chads on their own. Some people have them out the Chads. Some people might peg them up. So we were lucky. We were lucky to be able to get, you know, not lucky. You know, good stock, good unpunched, great artwork, great figures, reasonably priced, in my opinion, my personal opinion. So, and just accessible. Oh, yeah. If you're a massive fan, you know it. But if you're not, it's like, that's cool. I like that. Oh, I saw him on Disney Plus. Cool. Oh, yeah. So it covers everything, and it's just a fun, frivolous. It's just fun. Like, God, we need some fun in the world. So what's the problem?
Let me throw a question at you then, Stephen. You can either say no comment or whatever. Do you think you'll do the MCU in that retro carded 3 3/4 inch?
At the moment, no. At the moment,
just going to stick to the.
At the moment, we're in, as I said, 1982-ish. Mm-hmm. Now, as I think I've said this before, time travels differently in the 375 universe. You know, because I'm not going to wait. I don't think we're going to wait 10 years before we do like a Deadpool or anything like that. But at the moment, we're in the 80s. So everything exists, and there's too many A-listers that we need to kind of bring in. But it will grow and it will evolve, I hope. You know, as long as people keep supporting it, it will grow and evolve. We've got some plans. We know what's coming in 22. I think people also got to realize that in 21, when we released it, 2021, you know, we go out with a big line. You know, we had like 28 or something new exclusive new different figures. In 22, we have to design it not knowing how well it's going to do, because we do it 18 months in advance. So 22 may have less figures, and then 23 we kind of go, oh, okay, now we can see it's working, and we'll do some stuff in 23. So people who are fans of this, you know, I want them to look at 22 and kind of go, yeah, it's not going away at the moment. Yeah, very, very nicely. We're designing 23 at the moment. And I'm already starting thinking about 24 generally across everything. So it's good fun. It's good fun.
That's really kind of
just
refreshing.
Confirm that the transparent invisible woman's on its way, isn't it, Steve? You just you can confirm that. That's my note.
I don't know, actually. I've forgotten that note. I don't know where that is.
But that is refreshing to hear about staying in the eras and stuff, because throwing it over to the 6-inch line, one of the biggest complaints kind of for newer collectors coming in is that they want to complete teams, so they want to complete comic book runs and stuff of certain characters. And because obviously the Marvel Legends 6-inch line has been going for 20 years now, isn't it? It's 20th anniversary coming up. But because there's so much variation, as in, we've got this character here, and then 2 years later in a different wave we've done this character and stuff. We've just had like the X Factor kind of 3-pack with like Richter and stuff, completing that, or near completing that team. We're still waiting on 2 members, I think it is, but less said on that, the better. But it's really refreshing to know that you're kind of, with the retro line, you're kind of sticking to particular areas and teams and stuff. So as a collector, I'm now kind of going, oh, hang on. So if I collect from the beginning, I'll be able to complete teams. Right? Maybe I have to go back and purchase some of these.
As I said, there are 8,000 characters in the Marvel universe, so it's like getting them. There are. Yeah, we'll finish some teams. And our team love to finish teams. And it's like the OCD is like, oh, when are we going to get to finish that? Well, it's all about opportunity cost, because you can't, we produce X number, well over 100 figures a year, and it's like you can't do everything. You can't.
No.
There's no time. There's no physical time in the year to do it. Like Dwight works really hard already. Dwight and Rob and Ryan, and like you could just never stop, like in a 24-hour period. But anyway, it keeps the hunt. It's the hunt. It's we need that figure to finish that team. It'll come eventually, I hope.
It's good to hear though that the line has got potential moving forward, and that there are plans going forward a couple of years, because obviously kind of closing in sort of 2021, you gave us a whole wave of I think it was 5 waves in total with the initial ones.
There was wave 0. Yeah, there was 4 waves and wave 0, and
wave 0. Yeah.
So,
Well, I think I do know, because I do my archive on my website, and I've added the 3 3/4-inch line on there. But so I did know which ones were out. I'm just playing dumb.
And I stole your checklist from my YouTube video, so I definitely know that was accurate.
Oh yes, you did the.
You could download the checklist from my website as well, because I had to do a little collector post. I had to. It was when.
I saw that. I thought that's
funny.
ideal for my video.
Yeah, it's funny though when I saw you put that, because on my website, one of the things that I did is I went back and did an archive of Marvel Legends, what waves come out and what years and what the builder figures were and stuff like that. It's, if you haven't already, Steve, which I'm sure you have, do check it out, because it's quite intense.
Remind me what that website address is, Jacob.
I will. It's at jacobstoys.co.uk, and it's on the Marvel Legends archive. Look at this. Just kind of don't know. Now you know. But I did it. The funny thing is I did it completely for myself, because as a kid, what do? You turn the box over, you write down which ones, or you cut the box out and tick them off and stuff like that. So as a collector, an action figure collector, I was kind of like, I need somewhere that I can kind of work out what I've got, what I'm missing, collecting teams and that stuff. So, and it's funny when you put that checklist out for the 3 3/4-inch, I was like, yes, this is a guy that we're on the same level here, because this is exactly what collectors want.
Jacob, it's that ABC, it's that control.
It is. It's the ABC.
Idea of having everything organized and achievable, and checklists are really big. And it's difficult to do them on these things now, because obviously we're a global company and most products go out globally, and you run out of space. But I certainly want to do more of that officially, kind of going forward, especially for like 375, because it's also attainable and containable. It's a small line at the moment, and we're getting new people in, and when we say new people, it's old school collectors, but also new school collectors. So I want to do more about that, and sort of giving tools and devices for people to sort of check and checklist and compare and contrast and collect, and little starter packs or I don't know what, but something, without taking the joy away from you doing it, Jake, because I know that would have been a workhorse of a thing to do, but you probably enjoyed doing it.
I absolutely loved it.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. But the funny thing was, I did it for myself, and now there are a handful of people that do use it for reference. And I've had people message me and go, "Oh, it's really great that you've done this," or "That it's cool that I can check which one." And especially when people are kind of debating what year things came out. I don't even know how I started it, so I'm not even going to.
That's how me and you got talking. That's how me and you got talking originally. You messaged me.
Was it really?
Because you said that I could use it in one of my videos because I was struggling with information on certain lines, and you went, "You've got the complete archive on your channel, on your website," and that's how me and you got talking originally.
Just
and it was like a week
bringing
later
people together.
I'm bringing people together because I'm still learning.
Have a look.
I know everything, but I don't.
Have a look.
I'll tell you what though, even as an unboxer, I've got to say, even like the 6-inch line, I've been enjoying the card backs heavily these last couple of years. I actually now prefer this kind of figures to the builder figures now. I'm not gonna lie. I do like the card backs and stuff. It's so nostalgic because like I had this exact figure in 6. Yeah, I had this exact figure as a child, and now the fact that I've now gained him as an adult is just awesome.
Yeah,
like a much better version.
You will see something next year that is really cool.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying them lines, especially like all the
No.
Cryptic. No, just like one more sentence. One more sentence.
Let's think. Come on. Let's think. What anniversary is it next year? Come on. It's obvious. I know where this is going. It's yeah. But anyway, let's not put Steve on the spot because he's just going to leave otherwise. But I think it is a really great. I think it is a really great line. And whether I collect them or not, they're definitely something I'm enjoying watching. And I will pick up a few. I definitely will pick up a few. But it's what?
It's a line I enjoy watching from very far away.
Some of my best friends are retro collectors. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Ryan collects it for me. That's what it is. I'm like, Ryan, how is it? Like, no, should I tell you why?
Third of the channel.
This is the honest opinion. Why I don't collect it is because for me, one of the big ways of kind of playing with my figures was action figure photography and action figure customization, and that's how I kind of grew my following initially, was through doing customs and through doing photographs. And with a limited point of articulation figure and something that's done in a retro style, there's very limited kind of there is options to do. Don't get me wrong.
I'll challenge you on that, Jacob. Like that is a bigger challenge to do. Like if you can bring.
Oh, I know.
5.0, and I don't know whether you like advertising other people's Instagram.
Oh yeah,
Let's underscore
yes.
toy. Like,
yes, I've seen them. Yeah.
What he does with those superpower stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
So, like, I challenge you to make those images incredible because, simple is difficult.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve. I'll rise to the
you can't
challenge.
do an action pose with this. I mean, can you think of the explosion behind the ghost of Anakin? No,
Steve. I'll rise to your challenge. Right, you send me over what you've got of the free 3/4-inch line. Put them in a box for me. Send them over, and I will do my very best.
I'll send you my Hulk.
There you go.
Hang on. What else you got? Right, we're gonna do this. What else you got?
He's calling your bluff now, mate.
We've got. He's calling my bluff. Steve has run off to collect something.
These are my only spares. So I've got Iron Man, I've got Silver Surfer. So I'm going to send
you're actually calling my bluff on this, right?
You can hear the packaging going.
I'm challenging you live on your show to pull together
now
a mind-blowing toy photography or photography thing with those three. I have no idea what you're going to do. I have no idea how you're going to do it, but I want to see something with those. You can hack them, slash them, cut them, paint them. There you go. I'll send them to you.
Wow. See, my mum always told me that my mouth would get me in trouble, and there it has. It's just right on my own show. So there we go.
Thank God I don't have to lend you mine.
let's take a slight change in direction quickly while we're talking, because one of the things that's really popular on the groups is the kind of the redesign of figures. So when it comes to MCU in particular, when you get and I just want to say the MCU line for me is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. I'm a big MCU collector. Funnily enough, you kind of get two kinds of collector, or three kinds of collector. You get people like ourselves that just kind of collect everything and anything, but then when it comes to Marvel, you get the kind of comic book dedicated people. You get the kind of the MCU dedicated people, whereas I'm just kind of like, you know what, I'll stand my Loki from the TV show next to my Lady Loki retro carded figure that's just come out. Yeah. But with the MCU stuff, what we do tend is that there are a few figures that come out that obviously when they come out, they're obviously based on concept art or kind of pre-designed stuff, and they're not necessarily the same as the character looks in the film. Without going into too much detail, or kind of like, don't want to ask anything that we can't, but what's the process behind kind of the MCU characters that we get kind of ahead of the movies? Like,
why do you do that? Why do you change them?
Well, do you? Are you?
I don't think it's like saying that we change them or anything. I think it's more like I have this like. Do you guys get access to anything, say, from Marvel when you're designing them, or is it literally just concept?
So there's a wide variety of different assets that we get, obviously, without going into too much detail, but I can talk broadly where, the length of time it takes to do a movie and the length of time it takes to produce a toy and get it onto shelf is kind of roughly the same-ish. Now, some things are getting quicker, especially in the entertainment industry. It's getting sort of shortening. And toys, we're trying to make it shorter, but it doesn't necessarily go as quickly, especially with shipping things around the world at the moment. All right. So we work in parallel. So as you can imagine, working in parallel, I'm like, okay, I've got to design this figure. Right. That character. Okay. What do they look like? No idea. Okay, great. All right, how are we going to do it? So we'll work with concept art sometimes. Sometimes we'll have, costume fitting photography where it'll just be someone with a camera taking some pictures, all the way up to 3D scans where the actors, just before they go onto set normally and start acting, they jump into this booth and get photographed around, and that comes in as 3D, which we can then take, extrapolate and kind of start making it into a figure. So there's a wide raft of inputs that we'll gather, and they're a superseding asset. So obviously concept art is that level, and then when costumes come in, they go that level. Okay, that supersedes that. Oh, the trousers have changed. Okay, can we make changes to that? Up until, depending on the director, they'll often change costumes just as people walk on. They'll go, oh, you know what? Oh no, I don't like the cape. Get rid of it. So that is an ever evolving set of things until someone photographs it, films it. And then, of course, with all the CG, that can change right up until the editing, right up until the musical score, right up to the end of putting it out there. So the expectation of us to get everything right to what is seen on the screen is virtually impossible. And that's okay, I think. It's because we do our best, and there are certain parts of the process where we can make changes, but certain parts you can't. And the partnership with Marvel that we have is phenomenal. They are a phenomenal partner, and they will give us anything they'll give us anything they can to help us make something more accurate, but they also understand that it can't always be. And I think that's where we get into things like Cap from Infinity War. The one comes out, and then we'll bring out another one that's a little bit more improved. So we'll do re-releases of it with, oh, the hair was wrong, or oh, it comes with the color was wrong, or US Agent from Winter Soldier. That was like, oh, he doesn't have an A on his helmet, on his thing. Oh, okay, that's changed. So we're constantly trying to make things right, and that's kind of, I think, part of the fun of it. That collectors may disagree with me, though. They might say, oh, I don't want to buy it twice or 3 times. But like, okay, but that's the reason. It's not an excuse. It's just
no. But I think I mentioned earlier in the discussion we had before, Steve, is that one thing that I think Marvel Legends in particular are very good at is they don't just give us a straight repackage. They've always kind of changed things to it, or if you have given us like the cap, for example, you talked about, you'll get additional hands or an unmasked head or something like that. I think the one that comes to mind straight away is the Red Guardian from the Black Widow film. Now, obviously, because of what happened with that movie, because there was so much time that with the delays and obviously COVID and everything that happened, is that Red Guardian that we got initially was very different to how he looked in the film, especially that unmasked head. However, the 2-pack that you then kind of gave us at a later date was just phenomenal. And it was almost like you kind of went, you've waited for this. We're also going to throw in the little action figure, the unmasked head, the masked head. And I actually took one of the heads and put it on my old Red Guardian. And now I'm happy. I've got 2 Red Guardians, one masked and one unmasked. But I think that's a prime example of how you do kind of give back to the collectors. If they look at the big picture, it's not just a case of, oh yeah, we got that wrong and here's another one, go and buy that.
And I give props to Dwight specifically on that. We all have our very strong principles, and I have my strong principles. That's one of Dwight's. Dwight does not like the idea of just redoing. There's always something. There's always got to improve this little bit, or touch that, or add this in. He doesn't like the idea of just repacking for repacking's sake. He was always looking for improvements on how to make it better. And our statement is like, quintessential figure. How do we make it the quintessential version of that character? And we'll do our best. But sometimes you just can't, because you don't know what the quintessential one is, or you're just unable to do it within that time frame. So,
but I think as well, one of the other things that I think props where props are deserved is that take a property like Spider-Man No Way Home, for example. We've all seen it here, right? Everybody's seen it.
Finally,
like we're not gonna Ryan, he had to quarantine, so we couldn't talk about it around Ryan for quite some time. But you gave us the No Way Home wave that we obviously got well before the movie was in theaters, and you got your integrated suit, the black and gold suit that we didn't know much about at the time, your Doctor Strange and your J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
And you got 4 figures there from the film. So walking in to see that movie, I had 4 of the characters. Like, they were on my shelf. They were, well, they're not, tell a lie, they're not on my shelf. 3 of them are still here because I need to review them. But I had them in my collection. I had them in my collection before I went in to see that film. And that in itself, especially with a movie like that was kind of, there was so much secrecy around and so much kind of ifs and buts, to be able to walk into something and own a piece of it is a huge thing, because you, as a collector, you feel connected to it a bit more. Don't get me wrong, I came out of that film going, Hasbro, when are you giving us dum 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 dum? Like, but I'm patient.
So here's the thing. So I talk about, we make it parallel and we do it all the same time and all this kind of stuff. There are some things that we just don't know about, and I will always staunchly respect Marvel, or whether it's Lucasfilm or whoever, our partners, their ability to tell the story. There are some things, like I use the old example of Luke Skywalker, Force Awakens. I did not see Luke Skywalker until I went and saw it in the movie. So I sat there, last 15 seconds. That was when everybody at Hasbro saw it. So we come back, we go, we knew he was in it. We knew it was going to happen. It was like, okay, now we're going to make it. And it was like, hey, Chris, I need you to send me those assets. On their way. Okay, when can you have it ready? In about 18 months. Okay, go. And and that happens. It's just because, like, we have to respect the storytelling and the reveals and things like that. So they're
does it need a voice chip for his lines in the film? No, it doesn't.
Do you just walk out of the movie theater and like kind of pull the horn out and call to arms? Like,
yes, like
everyone comes to the others.
No Way Home, and I was like, in No Way Home, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh. So it's like, hey, go.
You leave cinema going, Dwight, I need to talk.
Yeah. Dwight, I know what we're doing next week.
Yeah,
let's be honest, that movie has given us so much potential. And when you talk about the community, what's really nice as well, because we've spoken about the community of kind of Marvel and photographers and all the rest of it, is that film really pulled the community together. I think that there was action figure photography, for example, where people weren't posting stuff because they didn't want to spoil it for others, that they were pulling things out that have been on their shelf for a little longer than other things, let's say that, and they were reusing them and stuff. And it was a really good time to be a fan of figures or Marvel or superheroes or Spider-Man or whatever. So but that is interesting to hear that you guys don't know that, because speaking, we had Ryan Penagos not too long ago from obviously Marvel, and he's been around Marvel for a long time, and he was saying, but we were talking about spoilers, and he said that because of his role, he knows everything that's going to happen, and so when there's a chance for something not to be spoiled, he does his best to not spoil it. So it's nice to kind of know that you guys aren't not everything's spoiled for you.
No,
in the toy game. That's
very common. It's very, very common. It almost happens like in every movie. We don't know every single detail, so it changes. And that's watch a movie. I go in thinking, okay, I know this much. How is that going to play out? Because it's been playing out in my head for 18 months. How's it going to play out on screen? But there's always new stuff for me to kind of go and geek out with everybody else.
But that's also really refreshing as well. And I will, if you don't mind me, I'll talk about Spider-Man No Way Home just quickly. Is that, out of those 4 figures that I mentioned, one was the black and gold suit. And going into the movie, we were all like, wow, what's this? Like, and it was literally kind of it's this, done. And, would I have bought an action figure of it? Yeah, I probably would have. I'm not going to lie. But there are people that will have it because obviously it was to do with the hype, and it's nice to know that you guys, it's not like you kind of made something that you knew the story behind it. Is that, am I making sense?
Yeah.
You kind of didn't know the full detail of the
and
you're in the same boat as us.
How much of that suit is on the editing floor? I have no idea. Like, it could have been a whole I don't know, but it's so you go on what you know, and that at the end, the editor is sitting there with the director, makes the decisions. It's like Constable
Zevo, that's exactly what I was about to say. My favourite character in Smiths. I've never seen such an army builder.
I can get plenty of them.
You're an idiot. About 3.
So
is it a couple of seconds?
He's in the Mandalorian now, though. It's okay. He's in the Mandalorian. So it's all fine.
He's kind of like there. So
but, he was the character that nobody wanted when he came out, and now you can't get older for love of money.
But I'll tell you, I think those type of things do add to the tapestry of the community.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's like the stories I keep going about. It's all about stories. So there's silly little things we can talk about. I think makes it really
Hood.
And the other good thing is that the Hasbro, the Marvel fan base for Legends is just huge. So we know that we know you'll still be around in a year, 18 months. It's not as if you're in, get bored, walk off and do something else. You're in. So like, it has such longevity. So if we miss a character or we don't know about a character, we know that I say it's okay, but it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be okay that in 18 months' time you'll get it, because you'll still be there because you collect, you love, and it's like Marvel's not going anywhere. There's billion more stories to tell. So that's actually quite reassuring, because we do get a little stressed out sometimes. Myself and Dwight, we're kind of like, oh my God, we're missing this. We're like, it's okay. It's okay. This community loves Marvel and loves Legends. Be respectful and like do our very, very best. That's all we can do. And they'll be there for us.
It's okay, because then there's people like me and there's people like me and Jacob out there that will happily go and create our own until the official ones come out. We're quite happy doing that.
Do that. I love that. I love it. Love all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to grab a custom now. I'm like, what? Sorry, I didn't know you were going to do that.
You must have one to have.
In my cabinet.
This guy's not left my desk since I made him.
All right, let me see what is the one I've got.
Are we doing show and tell? No one told me about show and tell.
My love and thunder Thor until the official one comes out. I couldn't resist.
Oh, no, this was my Spider-Man
Shang-Chi
crossover. Yeah, I did that one recently. But no,
the old boiling pot.
Yeah, no, but no, it's reassuring to hear that though, Steve. It really is. I mean, and a lot of us assume that anyway, but there are, and it tends to be newer collectors that kind of haven't been around for a long time, and they'll kind of go and buy a wave based on a movie and then kind of blast Hasbro for, why didn't they give us this suit and why have they done this? But it is reassuring to kind of hear that is the process, and you guys are kind of in the dark as much as us sometimes when it comes to it. But
like, how long did we wait for that Hugh Jackman figure, and it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm always surprised, like hearing about like the process and like that. But I'm still massively surprised there's not like a book out like that. It just sort of screams to me. That'd be a really cool book idea. Would actually be about like something like the Marvel Legends series. You only got to say Marvel Legends, and someone in collecting, even if they don't collect anything Marvel, knows about Marvel Legends. It'd make a really good book to see like the history of the designs going from when Marvel Legends started interviews with people who've designed it and the thing. That's just a really screaming to me like a really good.
Ryan. Get going. You strike me as an articulate man. You get going and get right in that. We'll
You're right.
The problem is, it would be every page would end in. I'm still a 3 3/4 inch collector. But I do.
It'd be so much better if it's just 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
Ryan, if you
get bigger the dream, like just.
Ryan, if you get a job at Hasbro before I do, we're not going to be mates anymore. It's just, even if it's right.
No, we'll be mates until I get you a job. That would be it.
Okay, fair enough.
There we go.
But yeah, I think that that's good to hear.
Hang on, what am I chopped liver?
Yeah.
Where's my job, guys?
Ash, you can come with us, Ash. It's fine.
You guys can spell check my book. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll do that. Sorrel, Ryan, is there anything else you want to ask Steve before we kind of round up this segment? Because we obviously still have loads to discuss on the Geek Week with everything that's been taking place this week, and don't want to take up like more of Steve's time than he's already given us, because you graced us with a huge.
He's only got so many action figures to rip open, so
He'll
have a vintage yak face in a minute. He's going to be like. Oh.
Is there anything that either of you guys have want to bring up before we sort of part ways with Steve? Is there anything?
Just want to say thank you for coming on, Steve. Really appreciate your time, and to quote Wayne's World, we're not worthy.
No, thank you. It's me who should be thanking you for everything you do and spreading the word and being positive members of the community and just having fun. It's great.
Yeah. No. Steve, huge thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute blast. And as I've said before, if you don't already, go and check out Steve's Instagram. It's Mr. Stevie18 over on Instagram. It's a lot of fun and it covers everything. So very, very in line with the Geek Week in Review, because we talk about everything here on the show and your Instagram covers everything. So do go and check that out.
We need to eat some old biscuits, really, to catch up. I mean, I'm trying to look at what old food I got.
That's it. So, Steve, thank you very much, and we'll catch you soon.
I'll be sending this to you very shortly, Jacob.
Amazing,
great things.
Amazing. So there we have it. There is our chat with Steve Evans, Mr. Stevie18 over on Instagram. And I love the guy. I think he's so much fun to speak to.
Hulk smashed that packaging as well. Like that was old school. Like when you were a kid, just
that cracked me up. Like that was like a proper moment. Like I wasn't expecting that at all.
Like him grabbing the camera and be like, unboxing.
It was. No, I just like that really threw me, and then calling me out as well. Like I knew my mouth was going to get me in trouble, but I was being genuinely honest, saying that the reason that they didn't entice me, just for clarification, the reason they didn't entice me originally was because once I took them out of the box, could I photograph them? Could I customize them? So to actually be called out by somebody that does what he does at Hasbro, I feel like I've just been like, everyone on the playground. So, but no, I'm excited. He is sending them over, so I'm gonna. And I must admit, it's having that chat with him has actually made me interested in the line more. I know that I spoke to you guys about it, but I've definitely kind of had a look at what's out there and stuff. And I have put them up on the website. They have been on my website as the archive, and I can appreciate what they are. I just know that as soon as I get them in my hand, I'm going to go, these are the best things ever. Give me them all.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was when not putting any words in his mouth or anything, but obviously when we were talking and I was sort of mentioning about like it would be cool to see playsets and vehicles, and he kind of just smiled and went, "Stay tuned," more or less.
Yeah.
It was, so I mean, that got me very excited. If they ever do anything like that, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah. I think what's really cool about Steve as well, and I will say this much, is that between the Behind the Toys interview and the Geek Week in Review segment, he told us a lot. Like he actually kind of gave away quite a lot. If you listen to what he's saying and kind of read between the lines and interpret what he's saying in the right way, like he didn't hold back. There wasn't any kind of like, oh, no comment, or like, oh no, we can't talk about that or anything like that. So I think he's but we're not that kind of interview, are we? We're not that kind of people. We're not pressing him for information. Like we're not trying to trick him. Like
we're not like very super serious, are we? Let's be honest.
No.
But I kind of like what he said about the because obviously when it comes to Marvel Legends, obviously they're at the mercy of the studio some of the times and of Marvel HQ. Whereas it sounds like with this retro line, because it's not linked to anything, they kind of got free reign with it. to just
No
They
run
can
with
really
it.
do what they
yeah.
want.
And that's
Yeah.
why he could speak more about that line, because it was very much a case of this is what Hasbro are producing. He knows what he can say and what he can't say about it. So he's just
Yeah.
going to run with it. So I
Yeah.
think he had a really good fun time chatting with us about that. I don't think many other people have had that conversation with him about that line, because it, like I say, it isn't as popular as it should be right now.
No,
But I think
no.
it will gain popularity very quickly.
And I think the thing with the guys from Hasbro as well is when they do get in front of the camera with somebody, you know, the time is limited and the questions are very much sort of specifically about what we've seen or what we've heard rumored. Whereas obviously in this case with Steve, he's not Dan Ryan or Dwight that we see like constantly and regularly. We do see him, we know who he is and stuff, but he's not kind of bombarded with them questions. So it was nice to actually have that open discussion and just sort of really just talk about it. And I learned quite a bit, and I thought I knew quite a bit about stuff.
I've got to write a book.
Yeah. Right.
How's that for homework?
You did an interview and got homework. So but yeah, I just thought it was I thought it was good. It was a good interview. Can't thank Steve enough. You know, he's a great guy. And as I said, if you don't follow him already, anyone that is watching, then do check out his Instagram, because it is funny. It is a funny account to follow. But
Is that a Primal Rage t-shirt?
no, it's
What?
Ghostbusters. No, I know you're talking about. It's around.
Yeah. Primal
me.
Rage t-shirt.
Primal Rage,
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, awesome. That's
Nice.
awesome. Sorry.
that is cool.
Wait till the
Yeah, I
end to
think
just be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think that does round us up for this week, though. I think that's quite
Oh,
a
this is my
you know.
t-shirt, by the way. Since we're
Ryan's
sharing clothing,
just
you know, I'm also here.
Yeah,
Outfit check.
I am. I'm wearing this one. What can I say? I wore it in Sorrel's end of year video, and I thought, well, actually, that's quite cool. I feel like I'm in Dawson's Creek.
And I've got to say about the interview, Steve, one thing I did absolutely love was when we were off camera before we started recording, and you introduced me and Ryan, and you went, and you must know Ash did the mastermind thing, and he was like, yeah. He got no clue who I am.
I was like, yeah, you probably know
so
Ash
much.
from the,
You tried to hype it so much as well, and you just like deadpanned me. Like, yeah.
And it was like, Ryan, I've known him a while.
Yeah. I was like, I've
Steve,
known.
he didn't actually have anything to do with that whole encounter that I spoke to Dwight
No,
the
it
whole
wouldn't
time.
have.
It was Dwight that
Yeah.
I was speaking to, and Ryan Ting.
Yeah. It wouldn't be. He wouldn't be the guy that was. I just assumed he might know. I assumed he might know about it.
And we forgot to ask him how the security guard is. Is he called Kenny? I want to say Kenny.
No, Keith.
Keith, that was it. I remember it beginning with a K from the
Everyone's still
live
watching this,
stream.
by the way. I'm as lost as you are. Don't worry. I wasn't involved
What?
either, viewers. I don't know who
What?
Kenny is or Keith.
There was the
Keith.
live stream, the 217
Are you?
something live
Wait. Are you a Premium Pulse member? Member? Because if you're not, you wouldn't have watched the 1027. Well, actually, you could watch it because they released it, didn't they, on the YouTube channel a few weeks after. He's just a security guard.
It was the security guard in front of the desk where
Hasbro.
we proper hyped him up.
But he played a bit of a character, didn't he? But no, he's a really good guy, Steve. I really like him. And you know, I can't thank him enough for obviously doing the double interview, which was great fun, and it genuinely was as fun. The only thing I am disappointed about is actually watching back all the footage and kind of editing it. I could have done a third interview with the stuff that we did off of camera and out of shot, and I actually kind of wished and I know there is a difference between obviously doing stuff live and doing it recorded and stuff, but I quite like that natural chat that we have off camera. But there was so many kind of there was a lot of kind of back and forth between the four of us, and yeah, it was good. It was a good evening. What a way to start the new year off. So yeah, and what a way to start the new year off for the Geek Week in Review. You know, we've set the bar sort of there for our guests. Literally the first show back in the new year. We do have
no pressure guest number 2.
No, none at all. Well, we do have a few things planned for the year. You know, we've been batting ideas around, and there are a few really exciting things in the works for 2022. So as always, thank you very much for all of your support throughout all of 2021, and please do stick around for 2022. Gents, anything else you want to add before we kind of sign it off for the week?
No.
That was it.
Yeah. I just, bring on episode 2 of Book of Boba Fett, and let's see what figures get revealed.
And until then, I'll just be geeking it real.
I knew you were going to do that.
You told me to come up with my own one. I've come up with my own one. There you go.
Yeah, but not one that's the same as this and use it in this.
Geeking it real.
Right, but anyway,
That's
if you are still if you are still watching,
you don't do that on someone else's show.
He told me last show to make my own one up for this, so I did.
Oh, Ryan.
You see me sitting there going, you see me sitting there and sort of going, and I unbox things so you don't have to. And I don't.
You just, Sorrel, you just did.
Yeah. You won't see quality like this show anywhere else, viewers.
No, well, it's a good job we're all mates. There's no. The thing is, it's the laugh. No one's taking offence. Just for for the sake of clarity, no one's really upset or taking offence. But yeah, but
I just don't appear for the next 3 weeks.
If you are still watching, do go and follow Ryan over on his channel because you won't see him here again. No, but in all seriousness, do check out the details below. It's got both Sorrel and Ryan's details in there. Do give them a follow if you don't already. If you are still watching, please do give us a like, share, subscribe, all of those things. And if you're on podcast, keep on downloading because we are hoping to climb up a little bit higher in those podcast charts this side of 2022. So until then, until next time, I'm Jacob, aka Jacob's Toys. This is Super Sorrel and Ryan speaks geek. Speaks geek. Speaks geek. Keep it geek.
The Geek Week in Review.